Hey fam, I wonder how you guys are doing today. It's Friday. It's my favorite day. Not just because it's the end of the work week, but I was actually born on a Friday. So I really love Fridays. But enough about me. I am talking to you because I read a really amazing article, and I wonder who it could be about. But the reason why I talk a lot about Eminem is because I hear so many, especially of the younger generation, either disrespecting or not liking him. And their excuses are something I'm very familiar with. Their excuses are he's a woman hater, or he's, God, what else do they say? He's a woman hater, he's gross, he's disgusting. I can't relate to what he raps about. Um, just a lot of things. And the reason why I say I know a lot about it is because in the beginning, I recorded a video about me and my sister and how when when M first came out, or when she first started listening to Eminem, I should say. You know how sibling rivalry is? Whatever your family's into, you don't really want to give them any positive feedback. Well, yeah, I hate to say it, but she was a huge, huge Eminem fan. And she still is actually. So she's like graduated to stand to the infinite power. And she would always try to get me to listen to it. And me being the bigger sister, I should say older sister, because I definitely wasn't acting my age. I was just like, ugh, what is this? And why are you listening to this? This is not hip hop. And where I'm from, especially where we grew up, nobody listened to anybody, especially not by their skin color of white. It just wasn't a thing. And I know that's wrong, but it happened. It just, the people that I grew up with and the people I hung out with kind of looked at you like you're crazy because that's just, it's like black and brown always hung out and everybody else was the outsiders, and that's just the way it was. And I'm sorry it was like that, but it really was. And so every time she would try to play it in my car or change it to Eminem, I'm just like, get this off of my radio. I don't want to hear this. And we would literally argue. So long story short, she begged me for her birthday to please go to an Eminem concert. And I'm like, you're out of your mind. Even if I had the money, which I did, but I was not going to tell her that, I would never, ever buy those tickets. And she said, well, I really want to go, like more than anything. And of course, I love her so much, but there was just no way. I thought I was helping her by trying to get her away from him. I thought he was going to be a one-hit wonder and he wasn't going to last anyway. Kind of like somebody else that came before him. I hate to say that. Anyway, I'm a really horrible person. I know. This is my confessional of just how awful I am. Sorry. So, lo and behold, as you guys know, according to my other video, and it is a very true story, my sister got on the radio station because I told her, why don't you just call the radio station and see if you can win the tickets? And I'm thinking, there's no way in hell she's going to win these tickets because you can't get through. Well, she got through. And not only did she get the tickets, she used my name because she wasn't old enough to go to a concert or let alone win tickets. So that was my first introduction to Eminem, and I'm not going to say it changed my life, but it did change my perspective. I have to give him a lot of respect because the amount of hatred was palpable as far as what he had to go through and where he came from. So it is kind of funny to see the full circle from going complete hate to absolute respect and adoration for somebody who came from the bottom to now. I mean, I think he is at the top. Of course, you've got your other goats, and that's fine. But as far as being even just the wordsmith, the wordplay, you guys know I've listed everything that's the criteria for what you have to be a great MC. And he's hit all those, and it's time and time again. So anyway, if we fast forward, and now I'm starting to hear the same things that I used to say. Hate Eminem, leave it to the younger kids, leave it to, get this old head out of here, whatever, or old boy, how they call him. And I just smile because he's still doing what he loves, and he's still teaching kids, or the youngins, that you guys don't have anything on him. And Lucky You is a perfect example of the older, wiser, better, greater, and the younger coming together, and they made a fire track. Lucky You, it still haunts me. I love that song. I don't get tired of it. You can still feel the raw passion that Joyner has, that hunger. He doesn't have what M has already achieved. And at the same time, M has always kept himself humble. He has never let all this success go to his head. He dresses the same. He is still in Detroit. He does all these things under the radar that we don't know about, and that leaks out little by little. Am I trying to say that M's a saint? In no way or by any means. No, I'm not saying that at all. It's just that nobody ever really gives him enough credit, ever. And I was one of those people. So if this can help change one person's mind that hates him, I will feel happy. Because my sister did it to me, so somebody's got to carry on. So anyway, back to this story. I came across this article. I always read things like Eminem's autistic, or he's got some kind of crazy disease, and until he tells us, I'm just never going to believe that. So, came across this story, and I wanted to share this with you guys because I thought it was wonderful. It's from the Huffpost, and it says, something magical happened when my autistic 10-year-old started listening to Eminem. I have my reservations about the rapper, but the changes I've seen in my son are extraordinary. My 10-year-old son starts to rap after someone on YouTube says Eminem is autistic. I don't know if Eminem is autistic or not, I tell him. YouTube says a lot of things. He looks worried all the time. He tilts his head, holding the worn-out headphones in place. He writes exactly what I think. He writes about stapling his teacher's testicles to the desk, I say. I love him, my son says, but the radio edits make me nervous. I wait for the empty spaces, and this bad feeling builds inside of me, knowing they're coming and just waiting for them. Suspense in any form is unbearable. He shivers and opens and shuts his hands, fists to flat, palms and back, over and over until I place my hands on his. Don't tell your dad. I download the explicit albums, graphic sexual acts and abuse and drugs he has never heard of. To my relief, he barely notices the actual content. He just loves profanity. Every F-bomb makes him chuckle. If you teach your little sisters any of this, I'm deleting the albums, I warn him. He cackles as Tommy Lee whoops Pamela's ass. I used to think it just meant donkey. Is it still misogyny if the listener is unaware of the context? I do not bring up girlfriends locked in trunks or wives getting murdered. I step back and listen to the music with a 10-year-old's ears. Magical four-letter wordplay. My son hears himself in these lyrics. The isolation, anger, and frustration about authority figures and expectations, about who and what is acceptable, about what it means to deserve a love or even basic acceptance. The message is wrapped in clever rhyme schemes that he can touch and manipulate. It distances itself from his overloaded heart with its playfulness, allowing him to think and feel without becoming frozen by panic. It allows him to talk about his experience, even in day-to-day interactions. Read me one of your poems, I say. My son's rap followed the exact same rhythmic patterns as Eminem's, but he creates his own themes and poorly spelled word combinations. Geometry's answers are diffidently not forbidden, and you can trust me when I say that their truth is not hidden. The confines of an established, successful form give him the confidence to explore his own world. He shares his new words at school, and the teacher loves this new hobby at first. His classroom assistant has him sign her cell phone case. He begins to think, learn, and demonstrate knowledge in rhyme more often than not. He bursts out in math with long verses about angles and the formulas for area and perimeter, and before long his classroom teacher is torn between admiration and irritation. He is smarter than her other students. He is also louder. That was very good, she says, but can we share at the end of the day? Wait, I have one more. I get daily emails. Your son cannot stop rapping. I need your son to stop rapping. But it is very difficult to teach the parts of a plant cell while someone is loudly rapping about mitochondria in the back of the classroom. Poetry is my special interest right now, Mom. You're a writer. You should understand. Yes, but I don't yell out passages from my novel while your teacher is explaining the differences between a cell wall and a cell membrane. I dropped subject-appropriate rhymes. I'm listening and learning, and she's mad. This is a valid point. There are rules we follow in school. I cringe as I say this. I am also a teacher, but it's different when it's your own kid. A grunt. He walks over and sits down in front of his laptop. He opens it, cracks his knuckles like he saw Snoopy do in a Charlie Brown cartoon years ago, and starts tapping at the keys. I tap at my own across from him, sneaking peeks as he alternates from grimaces and smiles, listening to him mutter, pounding on his backspace button, revealing an imagination I thought he didn't have, an imagination he never disclosed until he started writing. After 45 minutes, I have written half of a chapter that I will probably throw away. It's garbage. My son prints a page and hands it to me, whispering along over my shoulder as I read expertly rhyming lines about small-minded teachers and mothers who stand up for free speech. He writes jokes within the lines, utilizing the sarcasm he struggles to understand in real-time discussions, expressing himself through words that he cannot say out loud unless he has written them down first. You should write my novel for me, I complain. No, Mom, that's your special interest. I can't wait to see your book on the library shelf. I will bring all my friends over and point to it and say, my mom wrote that. I do not cry. Then I'll write a rap about you just like Eminem does about his mom. Wait a minute. A wild laugh, head thrown back, and he takes off up the stairs. Rhyming love insults fly over his shoulders toward me, his laptop held tightly to his chest. He will not be able to rap his way into college, or even into receiving an invitation to sit at the lunch table with the other boys in his class, and I wish he'd picked almost any other artist, at least for now, to emulate and idolize. But this is my son communicating, sharing what he knows and feels with the world around him. Instead of holding it inside, it's this music that was the catalyst. We will never need to have a larger conversation about these songs and their meaning at some point. Will we need to have a larger conversation about these songs and their meaning at some point? Do I worry about him internalizing messages that a 10-year-old doesn't have the tools to deconstruct? Yes. But I also know that my son has learned that there is power in telling his story. He sees others listening to and understanding his words. And his desire to speak and share, to interact with the world, grows in turn. The last 6 months of him rapping have changed his mindset, which is no small thing for an autistic child. Together, my son and Eminem built a bridge. I will enjoy every moment of him walking across it. My ears burning, my son's heart on brilliant rhyming display. This was by Hannah Grieco. She is an education and disability advocate and writer in Washington, D.C. Her work has appeared in the Washington Post on parenting, Motherly, Arlington Magazine, Lunch Ticket, Hobart Pulp, and more. I thought this was so beautiful that I had to share it, especially so close to Christmas. And how this relates to Ed Sheeran is, I don't know, for most of you, I've spoke about it in a live stream before, but most of my live streams I have to delete because of the copyright purpose. So let me tell you a little bit about Ed Sheeran. Ed Sheeran, of course, is English, and he is a well-known singer-songwriter. But did you guys know that he has a profound admiration and love for Eminem as well? Because Eminem helped him get over his stutter, and it was a really bad one. So let me see if I have that already pulled up here. My cousin's going to kill me because I'm supposed to be able to pull up screens already. Here we go.
I was a very, very, very weird child. Very weird child. And I had a Paul Weinstein birthmark on my face that I got lasered off when I was very young, and one day they forgot to put the anaesthetic on, and then ever since then I had a stutter, and I also had very, very big blue NHS glasses. And the thing that I found most difficult about it was knowing what to say but not really being able to express it in the right way. So I did different speech therapies and stuff, which wasn't very successful at a young age, and got very, very into rap music. My dad bought me the Marshall Mathers LP when I was 9 years old, not knowing what was on it, and let me listen to it, and I learned every word of it back to front. It helped me get rid of the stutter, and stuttering is not a thing you have to be worried about at all. And even if you have quirks and weirdness, you shouldn't be worried about that. Just be yourself, because there's no one in the world that can be a better you than you. And if you try to be the cool kid from class, you'll end up being very boring. Be yourself, embrace your quirks. Being weird is a wonderful thing. Don't ever treat it as an issue, and don't see it as a blight on your life, and carry on pushing forward. And I did all right. You can do all right as well. Nice one.
So maybe a lot of you saw that, and maybe a lot of you know that backstory. Another thing that Ed had said when he was asked about Eminem was, he said of Eminem, and I quote, that he's a sweet, talented guy.